Okay, world. Hi, it's your girl Portia. Where do I begin? Like, so much has gone on. Like I have been hella vocal about my PCOS journey, my infertility journey. That it was only right that I continue to share my story with my family and friends and my Facebook friends. By the way, my 3-year-old decided to have a tantrum at Target, and as I was ducking and diving to get her, she decided to come for my face, and that is a scratch on my lip. So, just a scratch. But, so, as you all know, I was pregnant with twins, and, January 27th was the start of a life-changing experience. And this is my first time really talking about it. So, well, not really talking about it because I've talked about it like individually with family and friends and people that have texted me or called me. But this is my first time, sharing it with the world. So bear with me. But January 27th, I started to have a lot of. Okay, so let me take it back actually. So 2 weeks, so probably around like January 19th, I noticed that I went in for a regular doctor's appointment, and my doctor's appointment was for 3 hours. Like, that's how far behind the doctor was. This was my high-risk ultrasound clinic. So at that appointment, it was confirmed that my cervix was shortening. So the doctor was like, okay, your cervix is shortening. We'll continue to monitor it. Bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, first off, I'm hot. Like, I'm mad. I'm irritated that my appointment was this long. So I'm not even really, like, thinking straight because I'm about to go off. So I'm trying to stay calm. And I just left the appointment, not really asking any questions, and just knowing that my cervix was shortening. So I was in this Facebook group for moms that are pregnant with twins. So I posted the message in the Facebook group letting the women know, hey, my cervix is shortening, bam, bam, bam. So they're like, oh, girl, you need to get the cerclage. The cerclage will help you to get full term. And the cerclage is basically the doctor stitching up your cervix to help your cervix from shortening even more or opening. So I got my head all wrapped around this cerclage. I called the doctor. Oh, and they were also like, girl, you need to go out on bed rest, bam, bam, bam. So I called the doctor and I'm like, hey, I need you guys to write me a note so I can go on bed rest so I don't have to work anymore. And what's up with the cerclage? Like, I've been hearing a lot of things about it. I hear it's very helpful, bam, bam, bam. So, Desert Perinatal, they said they do not do cerclages because they can actually cause more harm. And it's because it's a needle that they're stitching, so they can potentially rupture the sac with the needle, or they could it could cause an infection. So I went back to the Facebook group and I'm like, we don't do it out here, bam, bam, bam. And they're like, well, just make sure you keep pressing them for it and go out on bed rest and then just relax these next couple of months that you're on bed rest, because this was in January. I'm not due till June 9th. So fast forward to the last week in January, I had a crazy, it felt like a Charlie horse for those who've never been pregnant before, but just major cramping, major pain for damn near all day. Like, it was terrible. And Sean was at work, so I had called my mom, and my mom had came over, and then she ended up taking Sky for me for a little bit, and I just took a shower and just laid in the shower. And took a nap, and it was just terrible all day. But we didn't go to the ER because the last time we went to the ER when I had this kind of pain and pressure, they said, oh, it's common, you know, you're pregnant with twins, it's going to be different, and they're growing. So, and I got a $1,500 bill too, so we was like, we ain't going this time. So we didn't go to the ER. I just kind of just kept it chill or whatever. I called the doctor and let her know that this was going on, but of course I got a voicemail. So left her a voicemail, and then the next day everything was fine. But I started to notice that the pain was fine, like it was gone. But I started to notice discharge, and this discharge was like a brownish, light pinkish, orangish color. So I sent a picture of it actually to my girlfriend Kristen, because she is going to school for nursing, and she was like, yeah girl, just send me the picture. So I sent it to her, and she was like, she said I would call the doctor and let them know that this is the discharge that you're getting and the color, because the fact that it is a little bit pinkish is a little worrisome. So I called the doctor, let them know what was going on. They're like, it's okay, just monitor it, you'll have discharge, bam, bam, bam. So then the next day came, had the same discharge, and I would only have the discharge like twice a day when I would use the bathroom. So come Thursday, I had bleeding. It was red, and my doctor at the time, my OB, she couldn't see me, so she was like, P, you need to go to the ER. So I called Sean, and I'm like, hey, the doctor is suggesting that I go to the emergency room. So he gets off at 3. So he came home, and we got dressed, bam, bam. We dropped Sky off at my mom's, and we went to the ER, Summerlin Hospital, which is where I'm delivering. So we get to labor and delivery, and Sean like, you sure you want to do this? Like, we don't need another $1,500 bill. And I'm like, I know, but I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just following the orders of the doctor. So the receptionist lady, she was like, well, if the doctor told y'all to come, y'all need to come. So we like, fine, fuck it, like, let's just go. So we end up going into the ER. They set me up right away. Doctor came in probably within an hour, and he checked my cervix. Well, I don't know if he checked my cervix, but he just went in to see what was going on. At that time, they then ordered an ultrasound, and he didn't tell us anything at that moment. So the ultrasound came, and they did the ultrasound, and then around like 6 p.m., he confirmed that I had protruding membranes, and I had baby A's foot was in my cervix. Baby A's sac, which are the protruding membranes, were coming down the cervix, and I was 3 centimeters dilated. So at that moment, Deshaun and I looked at each other like, what? Like, we immediately just bursted with tears and broke down, because we thought that meant I was about to go into labor. I was about to have a baby. So we immediately start crying. I text my mom, and I'm like, yo, I'm about to go into labor, da-da-da-da. And it took Sean a second to realize what the doctor had said, because he didn't cry right away. We're like, for me, I like instantly was like, but it took him a second to hear what the doctor said. And I think he even asked, like, wait, what did you say? And at that point, that was when my poor little baby, he just bust out in tears. So I'm like, you know, he grabbed my hand, we holding hands, and the doctor's like, we need to admit you, and are you having any contractions? Are you in any pain? I'm like, no. What is going on? What do you mean? Da-da-da-da. Fast forward. I am now on hospital bed rest. I am in Translundenburg. That may be pronounced incorrectly, but it's a position where I'm like this, and this is my head, and my feet are up, because we're trying to get gravity to push the membranes back in, because they don't do cerclages. And I was pissed. I was livid, because all these girls in this group that I'm in was like, you need to do the cerclage, you need to do the cerclage, you need to do the cerclage. But my fucking ultrasound clinic would not do a cerclage. So I get admitted into the hospital January 30th, and I am on hospital bed rest. So February 5th, So at this point, nothing is happening. I'm stable. The membranes are there. I'm getting seen. My vitals are checked every 3 hours. So February 5th comes around, and baby A's sac ruptured. And let me take that back. So February 5th came. I had an ultrasound. During that ultrasound, they confirmed that not only was baby A's foot in my cervix, but her whole body had come down, and it was actually in my vagina. So baby A's body had come down, but it was still in the sac. At 8:30 p.m. that night, around like 8:15 p.m., they moved me to labor and delivery, because they're like, your chances of delivering are pretty high, because at this point I was stable, so I was in antepartum. So they moved me to labor and delivery. At around 8:30, the water ruptures. I noticed a larger amount of discharge in my pad, so I called the nurse. She came over and she said, let me run some tests, because I think this is actually fluid, amniotic fluid. So after running the test, it was confirmed that my water had ruptured. So I text my family, because Sean's at work, because I had been stable. So I text Sean, I text everybody, I call everybody. I'm like, yo, my water just ruptured, get here. So my water ruptured, and but it was fine. Like, the baby wasn't showing signs that she was coming. It was just my water had ruptured, and she was halfway down in my cervix, and a portion of her body was in my vagina. So I was stable, no contractions, no pain. Come Friday, February 7th, at 7 a.m., I woke up, and it was like after a night of having the best sleep ever, too. Like, it was crazy. I was knocked. February 7th comes, 7 a.m., I wake up, and something tells me to look down there. Because I'm the type of chick, like, I got a mirror down there, even pregnant or not, like, I'll be looking down there. So, I took my camera, my phone, and I videotaped to see what was going on down there. And I could see this purple, blue, green, beautiful cord. It was baby A's cord. What the fuck is it called? Umbilical cord. And it was out, it was wrapped, and it was a portion of it was hanging out of my vagina. So I immediately called the nurse. I told her that I could see the cord hanging out of my vagina. She runs down. She's like, yep, this is the cord. Let me call the doctor. And she's calm. My heart is starting to beat a little bit. And then she leaves. At this point, I'm in the hospital by myself. So, in the room. So I call everybody. I'm like, the cord is coming. The cord is out. I'm about to go into labor. So at that time, it was 7:30 in the morning when I was by myself in the room. And at that time, I had a vision, and I could visually see God in front of me. And I could feel the angels around my bed, and he came down and he said, I am here for Sienna, which is baby A's name. We had named her probably about 2 to 3 weeks prior to all this craziness happening. So her name was Sienna Tammy Gregory, and he came down, and the angels were around my bed, and their hands were like this, and he said, I'm here for Sienna. And I mean, tears filled my eyes, of course. My body was, it was just a weird, crazy feeling. Like, right now I even have it. Like, it's just weird. And I gave him Sienna, and I prayed and we prayed, and I said, thank you for the privilege to be able to carry her, to build a relationship with her. She already had a personality at 22 weeks and 3 days. And I knew her, and he came and he took her, and I prayed and I gave him back to her, because at the end of the day, we are all God's children. And at that time, of course, I'm just filled with emotion. And I couldn't really process everything, but it was like the world had stopped, and it was just me and God talking, and the angels were there. The moment was just us. And he took her, and it was at that point that a portion of my stomach was empty, because her spirit was now gone. And I don't know, it was weird. It was, so at that point I had come to peace knowing that Sienna would not make it. And I then grabbed myself back. I got myself back together, because it was very important for me to be in a place of calmness and peace, and God's presence was with me every second while I was in that hospital, like from the second that we even walked in. So I immediately grabbed my emotions together, because now it shifted to, I needed to be strong for Journey. And her name at the time was Jordan. We changed it to Journey. But baby B, I needed to now be strong for baby B, to keep her in and to hold this baby, because my prayer was that for some reason, and I'm sure I'll figure out that reason soon. We know a little bit why, and I'll get to that. But, I needed to be strong for baby B, to keep her intact, because her sac hadn't ruptured. Both of the babies, they were die-die twins, so they had their own sacs and their own placentas. So nothing was going on with baby B. At that point, I knew Sienna was gone. I grabbed control of my emotions. I took a deep breath. I called to Sean, and I said, baby, I need you to be prepared. I need you to prepare yourself, because I had a vision that Sienna didn't make it. And he's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's fine. It's fine. I'm on my way. So he's like, I'll be there in a second. So he hangs up the phone, and I call my mom. I tell my mom what's going on. My sister. So my parents dropped Sky off at school. They all get there. They all come to the hospital. So the doctor comes back in around like 10, and she's like, Portia. Well, she came back in a lot earlier than I'm tripping. She probably came in around like 9-ish. So she comes back in with the nurse, and they are saying that baby A, because her cord is down and showing, her body is now compromised, because that cord, the chances of that cord being around her neck or being restricted, is now restricting the blood flow. So again, I am dry-faced. I'm looking at the nurse and the doctor. I'm receiving the information that they're giving me. No tears are falling. I'm just, because I'm in a place where I already know what's going on. And I've had my peace with it. Well, a little bit of my peace with it. So Sean comes in while the doctor's there, and, my poor baby, his face was just down. You could just, I don't know. But he was still very optimistic that even if baby A came, she would survive. So baby A, the doctor puts her hand in there, and she's like, Portia, your baby is now all the way in your vagina at this point. A portion, a little bit, is still in the birthing canal, but she's pretty much all in your vagina. I can feel her body in your vagina. So, Sean's like, it's okay, you know, she'll pull through. But at that time, I'm trying to get him to realize, baby, Sienna is gone. She has gone to be with our Heavenly Father. She's not gonna make it. So the NICU doctor comes in. He talks to us about what we want to do because she is so early at 22 and 3. They don't consider that a viable delivery. So we agree at that point that we will do comfort care, which basically means they will check for a pulse, they will wrap her up, and they will not use any extreme measures to revitalize her. Pumping on the chest, putting down a breathing tube, pumping her with a breathing tube, or using medicine to restart the heart. Because she was under a pound, the chances of her survival were very limited. Her quality of life would be affected by it. So for Sienna, we said we would just move forward with comfort care, which means they'd check for a pulse, they'd wrap her up, we would have the chance to hold her at that time. But if she showed signs that she was alive or she was trying to breathe, then that process would change. Then the situation would change. But because her cord was showing, we knew that the blood flow was now constricted. So the chances of her survival was very, very, very limited. Slim, not limited. So, okay. So the doctor came in and she said, Portia, I am going to have you push. And it was, so she did it one time at 12 something, and the baby did not come down. She came back in again at 4. And the time was 4:29, and maybe maybe not even 4:29. At the end of the day, I delivered Sienna at 4:31 p.m. It took 2 pushes, and she just guided her out, and it was the weirdest feeling ever. I mean, with Sky, I had an epidural, so I didn't have any feeling really. But with Sienna, it was just so weird. I mean, she just plopped out of my body. She was 22 in 3 days, and when she came out, there was no sign of life, no breath, and Deshaun, I mean, he immediately bursted into tears, and he screamed a scream I had never heard before. And my sister was over my head praying when they told me to push, so I didn't see her. And Sean burst out in tears, and they pulled her up, and I saw her up high. I saw the nurse and doctor lifting her up high. But when I asked my sisters, they said no, they didn't lift her high. She was low, and they wrapped her up immediately. But I saw her lifted high. So I don't know, again, if that was my vision, an additional part of my vision, seeing her going up. Now her body was going up to be with God, her flesh. So Tanika confirmed that no, they didn't lift her. They just immediately wrapped her while she was low. So I don't know. But I had tears at that moment. It was for a second that I lost myself. And then when I heard Sean's tears, when I heard Sean scream, I immediately grabbed myself, because now I needed to be strong for me and my husband. So I grabbed myself. I got control. And I said, while I was in this place of trying to get in control, I said, Dad, take him out. So they took Sean out. The nurse asked me if I wanted to hold Sienna. And at that moment, I was in a place of fear and shock, and I said, no, not at this time. So they wrapped her up, and my eyes are still closed at this point, and they take her out of the room, and I start praying, and it's crazy the things that we go through in life that I was not trying to cry that make us strong. Like, if this would have happened a year ago, I would not be sitting here sharing my story. In that moment, I probably would have broke down so bad that they would have had to hold me down. I don't know. But I feel like this year I've been sharing my story a lot. I've been reading a lot. Tori Roberts has an amazing book called Wholeness. I've been reading that. I pick it up every once in a while and just read it. My husband and I, we've been in marriage counseling with some phenomenal counselors. We were meeting with them at one point every 2 weeks. And then we started to meet with them as things started to get a little bit better in our relationship once a month. Even when those times were good, we would just meet with them just to continue to equip us with the tools that we need to be great. And I was listening to podcasts more. So this year, I guess, has been preparation for what was to come. So I grabbed back in control. Sean was out of the room. They then took Sienna out of the room. My sister got up because while she was over me, she was also praying over me. So it was like the spirit, oh my God, it was just all in that room, okay? God was in that room. And some people may not understand, how can you even give God the glory right now? How can you even speak about God in this moment? But God does things for a reason, and it was a reason that I was pregnant with twins. It was a reason why God chose me and Deshaun to carry these kids. Because as you know, I've battled with PCOS. I've battled with infertility. Skylar's our miracle baby. We didn't have to do any rounds of IVF, IUI, hormones, or anything. She was born naturally, but with these twins, we did need a little bit more help, and we went the route of IUI for conception. And God chose us to be pregnant with twins, and it was a very different pregnancy. It was a very different experience, and yeah, it was just crazy. It was different, but I loved it, and it was amazing. And I knew I was pregnant 9 days after conception. Actually, I took a pregnancy test, and it came back positive, and it was probably because I had so much HCG in my blood or urine because I was pregnant with twins. But so Sienna was born 4:31 p.m. Deshaun comes back in the room. My dad's in the room, my mom, my sister, and it's just silence. And we're quiet, and, everyone's just sitting, I don't know, in a moment of being lost, in a moment of confusion. Yeah. So then, the nurse comes back in, they check on me. So Sienna comes. But Sienna came so slowly and so gracefully that baby B, again, was not affected. Where in most twin pregnancies, the baby comes right after, a minute or two, a couple seconds. The longest they said was 45 minutes that they've seen. And so they were expecting baby B to come. As soon as baby A came, they did this thing where they tied her sack. They tied the cord inside of me to force my body to think that I'm still pregnant with twins because of the way she came. She came so slow that the doctors and Deshaun say, she essentially saved her sister's life, because if she would have come full on with contractions, pain, heavy, ready to go forcefully out, then baby B most likely would have come, because my uterus would have contracted baby B out. But the way baby A came, there were no contractions, there was no pain, there was no fast, abrupt delivery. She slowly came out. She saved baby B. So baby B remained intact, no issues, strong heartbeat. She was fine. So around 7 p.m. that night, the nurse came back in and she said, Portia, Deshaun, do you guys now want to hold Sienna? Deshaun and I looked at each other and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Like, you know, it was tough. My sister was in the room. My parents had left. And she's like, Tanika's like, I can leave or I can stay. What do y'all want? And I'm like, just stay. So, they wheel her back in, and I closed my eyes. I didn't want to see. They wheel her back in, and again, Deshaun just floods with tears, and he picks her up. Well, the nurse picks her up and gives her to Deshaun, and it was like, it was amazing and sad, and it was wonderful. Like, it was just crazy. But he grabs her and he just, the tears continue to fall, but he's silent. And my sister's next to him, like holding him. And then he starts singing to her. He starts singing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. He starts singing the Barney I Love You song. And these are songs that we sing with Skylar every day. So he starts singing I Love You. He starts talking to her. And he brings her by me. And, I take a little peek. And I'm like, I'm not ready yet. I had a hard time holding her. So I told him to hold her up, and I prayed, and I gave God the glory in that moment, and I thanked him for being able to carry her. I said, come and get her. She's yours. I know she's with you. Again, I'm still feeling his presence in the room. I'm feeling the angels in the room. Like, I'm getting the chills. I'm talking to him about the good times that me and her had. This was my little baby. She was on the bottom. She had a lower heart rate than her sister. She was very quiet. She was very chill. Anytime we saw her in the ultrasound, she was very calm. Where baby B is moving and grooving, like doing her thing that every ultrasound. And we prayed over her, and I said the things I said, and then I wiped my tears, and then Sean walked back by me, and my sister came over by me, and I held her, and it was the hardest moment, like holding a baby who I developed a relationship with, holding the baby that I felt inside of me. I started feeling them both at 12 weeks. It was just such a unreal feeling that I had given birth to this child who didn't make it, and I'm holding her. And I remember looking at her feet and her hands, and they were so big and so long, and it was probably like the biggest part on her body. And that she was wrapped in this purple and blue blanket, and they had her in this hat, and I mean, her face, it was crazy. It was hard. But she was so beautiful, and Sean comes over and he's like, she looks like Sky, and I'm like, well damn, I'm about to have 2 more kids that look like you. Because everybody says Skylar don't look like her mama, she look like her daddy. So, you know, he's trying to make light of the situation and make a joke, and, you know, we smile, and, I held her for a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I'm fine, take her. Sean come grab her, and he came and got her, and then he gave her to the nurse, and they put her in her little bed, and then they wheeled her out, and, again, the room became silent. And then the nurse comes back in, and they're like, okay, you will be on antibiotics for the next 36 hours through your IV, and that is to, because they left the placenta. They left the baby A's placenta inside of me. I was still open. I was still dilated at this point, but baby B was not showing any signs that she was coming. So fast forward to February 15th. I'm now back on antepartum. Baby's not showing any signs that she's coming. I'm remaining strong. I'm not crying. I didn't really grieve, I don't think, because I was fearful of crying, that would contract my uterus. I like mentally, it was like you have to be in control of your mind, because the devil is there trying to attack. I mean, at this point, I had lost a child. I've never lost a child. I've never gone through this. I delivered her. I pushed her out. Mentally, I was fucked. But I had to remain in a place of peace, and I had to give my worries and my fears to God. And being on bed rest at this time, it was a time for me to learn and it was a time for me to grow in my faith and become stronger by reading the Word, by reading devotionals, scripture. One of the girls back in college, Tay, she started this spiritual group chat. And she started it before, probably like in January, I think. Before I got to the hospital, it was started. But now I had the time to give it the time it needed, and to give God the time He needed. Because I believe in God. I've always tried to be a faithful servant and to walk in the way God has asked us to walk and to be Christ-like. Of course, I have sinned. Of course, I could have had a stronger relationship with God, but now was the time that He asked me to. He gave me the choice. I had the choice of remaining faithful, or I had the choice of not dealing and not talking to God through this dark place in my life, and to fall in a place that God has asked me not to. But I chose to follow God. I had my prayer warriors going for me. I had this group chat that I was in, giving me devotionals, giving me scriptures, daily prayers. Thanks to the Holy Bible app, I was able to follow different daily devotionals. I was listening to different songs that continued to just keep me encouraged, keep me strong, and remaining faithful to God, who will deliver, who will heal, who will be there when you're not strong enough to be there for yourself. And He was bedside with me every day. And His presence is what kept me strong. And of course, my family, my friends, people checking on me because I wasn't on social media. And I guess I'll be on social media too much because everybody was like, "Dang, P, where you been? I hope you're doing okay, bam." So it was good to even have people reaching out to me when they noticed I wasn't on social media, because it just, social media kind of like is now a huge communication tool between friends and family that people forget. Hey, it's okay to pick up the phone and call you sometimes. It's okay to send you a text message in addition to liking that picture. But I had my girls, Angela, Kristen, Devonna, Sasha, Vega, Ashton, reaching out to me daily, Brooke, because they knew what was going on. So, FaceTiming me, Milan, and then once we finally got out of the place of me sharing with them what was going on, I was able to now hear their story and hear what was going on with their life to kind of distract me from what was going on with me. So, yeah. So then February 15th comes, and I was having contractions. I was having contractions every 4 minutes. So I call my family, I text my family, I'm like, yo, I'm about to go into labor. And they all get to the hospital around like 8, 9 p.m. And the doctor's like, I mean, you're not so they had another doctor come in and check my cervix to see if I was dilating. And he's like, no, you're not dilating. Baby's not protruding. You're not showing signs. You don't have the ruptured, or her sac hasn't ruptured. I don't know. Sometimes your body just contracts. So mentally at this point, I'm remembering what the nurse had said to me before, where she said, sometimes your body can contract when you have an infection because your body is trying to push that infection out. So the nurse was like, no, you're fine. And that night, she only checked me one time. And 7 a.m. comes around. I wake up. My sister spent the night with me because Sean went back home with Sky, and my sister spent the night with me. And that morning, I woke up. We woke up around like 7, and I had the chills. I could not stop shaking. I was freezing. It was like I was back home in Wisconsin with no clothes on in the snow in the winter. So she turns the shower up. I'm like, give me blankets. She's like, she's remaining calm. She's chill or whatever. And I'm like, she's like, try to stop shaking. Try to get control of it. So I couldn't. So we called the nurse in. The nurse comes in, and she's like, I could see on her face something was wrong. So they took my temperature, took my blood pressure. She said, you have a fever through the roof. Your blood pressure is the highest it's been since you've been here. Let me call the doctor and see what's going on. Doctor comes in around 9 something. This is the DPA. This is my ultrasound doctor. She then confirms that I have an infection. So at that point, I text Sean, I text everybody, and I'm like, I'm going to have this baby today because if you have an infection, chances of the baby having an infection are high as well. So here we go again. Journey at this point was 23 and 4. Viable pregnancy, they consider is 24 weeks. But Journey was 23 and 4. So we had opted out of getting the steroids, which help develop the lungs just in case the baby does come early. We opted out of it because she wasn't giving us any signs at all that she was going to come. So we wanted to wait, and the medicine only lasts 2 weeks. So we wanted to wait until I was 24 weeks to get that medicine. But unfortunately, God had a different plan, and I was showing signs that I had an infection. Fast forward, everyone arrives, and I delivered Journey, whose name previously was Jordan, but because of everything that had been going on, I asked Sean if we could change it to Journey. So I had Journey at 12:41. I had her after probably pushing 4 times. Again, she plopped out of my body, and we told the NICU doctor while everything was going on, we want you to do everything to keep this baby alive. So we had changed our plan because we said if the babies were born before 24 weeks, we would not feel comfortable with them doing chest compressions, giving her medicine to restart her heart. We only wanted them to intubate her. So, but because unfortunately we had lost baby A, we said we want you to do everything to keep baby B alive. So 12:41, baby B comes. She plops out of my body, and she's breathing, she pees. Sean said she looked at him, they grab her, they hold her there, they do a delayed cutting of the cord so she can get as much blood and whatever else is inside of me as much as possible. So then they cut it while I'm delivering. Tanika's again over my head praying, because I was terrified. I was giving birth to this baby. I didn't have any medicine. I needed her to be alive. I needed her to be alert and showing signs of life. So Tanika, she comes out. Tanika, she's standing in between me and the NICU bed because I didn't want to look. So I'm like, what's going on? Is she doing okay? Tanika's like, yeah, she's fine. She's doing good. She's breathing on her own. Blah, blah, blah. Even though she was breathing on her own, they still incubated her. They were able to get the breathing tube in with no problem, because that could be an issue because they are so small. She was born at 1 pound and 13 ounces, 23 and 4 weeks. So they put her in the NICU bed. Sean's smiling. He's happy. He's like, Portia, she's doing good. He comes over. He hugs me. He gives me a kiss. He grabs my hand. And then they take her, once they get her together and stable, they take her in to the NICU unit. Sean goes with. And everything is good. Everything is good at the moment. I just had her at 12:41. Sean went to the NICU. He comes back a little bit later, and he's like, she's doing great. Good job, Portia. He gives me a hug. He loves on me. I'm like, get off me. Like, I got IVs. Be careful. Da, da, da. And, yeah. So, Journey was born. And, Journey was born, both placentas, because remember, I still had baby A's placenta inside of me. So both placentas ended up coming out, and they were wrapped around each other. And again, I just think that was such a beautiful sign. God just keeping them together. And immediately I prayed. I thanked God for giving life and speaking life over this baby girl. I smiled. I didn't really shed any tears during this labor. But it was good. It was great. I was happy. And around 6 o'clock that evening, Deshaun wheeled me over to see Journey. He had been over there probably like 4 or 5 times since I had delivered her. I had wanted to just take a shower and get cleaned up first before I went over there. So we went over there and went to see Journey, and it was beautiful seeing her in her flesh. I had a hard time with the cords. I had a hard time seeing her in the incubator or whatever it's called. They asked me if I wanted to touch her, and it was tough seeing her in the cords, and I opted out of touching her. And it took me 3 days to finally put my hand in and touch her. And I touched her hand first, and when I delivered that Saturday, we stayed in the NICU unit for a while. They kind of gave us the whole spiel of the NICU life and what was to come. But they said Journey was doing great at 23 and 4, and they could not believe how great she was doing. And here we are today at 35 days of life. Journey has been doing amazing in the NICU, and we're in for a new ride, and the NICU life has been challenging and different because I have a newborn baby who is not home. I'm pumping every 2 hours for a baby that is not home. I can't put her on my breast and nurse her. The coronavirus has added things into this new journey. You know, having a 3-year-old at home who's not really understanding why mommy is leaving to go to the hospital. Not really understanding why mommy doesn't have babies in her belly anymore. She knew I was pregnant. She knew she was going to have a baby sister. She didn't understand she was going to have 2. She just knew she was going to have a baby sister. Fighting with my husband because I want to go to the hospital, but he wants me here, or fighting with him because we're both still grieving. We're both still in a place of not understanding what the hell just happened. Marriage counseling. We did marriage counseling last week because I felt like him and we weren't communicating properly. We were grieving, you know, and we didn't really understand that until we did our FaceTime call with our marriage counselors. This NICU life has been different, and I'm going to share my stories as we continue in this process. I have videos of Deshaun and I singing and doing different things while I was on bed rest. Pictures and videos of when my nieces and nephew came to see me, my daughter, my parents, Sasha. I have video footage of that I'm going to put in this YouTube channel. But I just wanted to get on here and share with you guys a little bit about what has gone on. Thank you for all those who've been praying for us, those who didn't even know what was going on but just wanted to pray because they just felt like something may have happened. I have received so many text messages of people saying, Portia, you just been on my heart for some reason. People that I don't really talk to at all. Or it's been a while since I talked to them, and they're like, for some reason, you just been on my heart. So shout out to those folks who have reached out to me, who sent their prayers, called me, who have come to the hospital, sent me edible arrangements. I've received so many amazing edible arrangements. Jasmine and Angela, thank y'all. The chocolate strawberries are my favorite. My girl Jessica for reaching out and sending her words of encouragement. Christine, Brigitta, Leah, my hairstylist. Like, things have just, because once I got out of the hospital, because I was on bed rest for about 3 weeks. So I went into the hospital, baby, with an amazing frontal boo. I had my nails done. My lashes was just filled. So I was lit. But by the time I came out, I was a hairy beast. And I needed to get my hair done because I look crazy. My girl Christine reaching out. It has been a crazy journey. But what has gotten me through this and what will continue to get me through this is my faith. My family, my amazing family, my cousin Naria reaching out, Natalia, my grandma and grandpa, of course, my Uncle Anthony, Quentin, Savannah. Y'all don't know how much it means to me to just continue to receive the love, for Deshaun and I to have the support that we have behind us. Ashley being here for me, Ashley Carlisle being here with me in this NICU journey. God, girl, you don't know how much of a blessing you've been so far. It's crazy, again, the things God does in our life and how he moves. Here I am pumping. I'm in this Las Vegas Supermoms group, and with the crazy virus going on, people losing, they can't buy formula. I'm pumping every 2 hours. I'm producing a good amount of milk. I have a ton of milk downstairs in both freezers. We actually just bought another freezer. But it was this mom who posted today saying that her baby had just got out of the NICU. She's not producing milk. She couldn't, the baby doesn't want formula. And something, again, I was listening to Mike Todd this morning and talking about we are all ministers, and we have to continue to minister and share the goodness God continues to do in our life. We have to open up those doors where the gates of evil are, and the devil is, and go in to unlock those doors and go in and minister and bring in those who can minister with us and just pray and give it all to God. And it was nothing but God that led me to that Facebook post. And I gave her 50 bags between 4 to 5 ounces of milk so she can go and give it to her baby who has graduated from the NICU. And I don't know what's going to happen with Journey. I don't know if I'm going to continue to produce milk, but God brought that spirit into my life at that moment to bless this woman and to, because so many people have been blessings to me, and God continues to have mercy and grace over my life and my family's life, that it is my purpose, and I'm ordered to be a blessing when I can to someone else. So, I pray God continues to be along this journey with us. I pray my friends continue to be with us here. Once this coronavirus dies, y'all about to come out here and we about to turn up and have a party. Once my baby come home, Deshaun will be picking up Sienna's urn, excuse me if I'm wrong, on Monday, and we will take her ashes out and do a celebration for the both of them. And Journey's name is actually Journey Sienna Gregory, so she will keep her sister's name and it'll live on. Oh, and big shout out to my sister Olivia and her wife Bianca for coming down. They flew out every second we said that I was in labor, every second we needed them. They literally flew out. I think they were coming every other weekend. So shout out to them for coming every other weekend. My parents have been amazing. Some of you know my mom is going through something right now, and I think her not being there as much as she would have liked to has kept me to be stronger. And I pray that she gets through, what she's going through, and the outcome of all of this is a celebration at the end. And that's a little bit of my story. I will continue to share our NICU story. I'll post some videos from us being in the hospital, and we're gonna get through this. I love y'all. I thank you. I continue to give God the glory. I thank him for just being so marvelous right now. And post some questions down below. Shoot the girl a text message, call the girl, come visit me. I'm out in Vegas, baby. Call my husband, because it's been a hard road for him too. But we gonna get through this. And we just celebrated 4 years of marriage on March 19th. So God willing, we gonna continue to do this together. All right.